So we're picking this one back up. We brought the car home last night. I'm out here today. Got some stuff kind of cleaned out of the car for now. Because I do have daylight, I am going to try and drive it, get some miles in. And then tonight when I get it back in, I'm going to attempt to blue a piece of Dokal to see if the gun blue kit will work on Dokal or not. And that will basically be what I need to do to determine what I want to do with the cage after this. I did order padding for the door bars, and then I got some carbon and tubing protector we're going to put from the bend down. So I'll have padding to about the bend, and then from here down it'll all be carbon. And then same thing on that side. And then we're either going to paint the cage with Rust-Oleum Hammer Tone, or we're going to do the gun blue kit and see if we can get these gold welds to really pop. Because these things should look crazy with the gun blue kit and the gold weld to pop out behind it. But we'll see what happens with all that. I got to go get HP tuners, put a little bit of fuel in it, and then we're going to go put some miles on, see if maybe we can get 40 or 50 miles tonight, and we'll go from there. So let me get some fuel in this car, let me get it warmed up, and we'll get it outside, and then I'll bring you guys back in before we go for a ride. Well guys, I tried to stretch it. I was going to see if I could go a full 5 laps without needing fuel, and turns out I couldn't. I'm like 1.5 miles away from home. Right now, I'm about to coast into the church parking lot. I got the wife bringing me some fuel. Made it to the church at least. So now I just got to get some fuel here. We'll get this guy filled up, we'll get her back home. Wife came to the rescue. We're full of fuel again. Let's keep going. I still got a little bit of sunlight. I'm going to try and get 1, maybe 2 more laps in. That'll be 48 or 56 miles for the day. And if I can get, if I can do 56, that'd be 110 miles in. We'd be 90 miles left. Had to sneak out here and give me a couple pictures of the sunset with the car, because it is beautiful right now out here in the country, guys. Let's get the car in the garage. 56 miles put on today. I did put a Facebook post up talking about how I got the miles on. Said I got 90 miles to go unless Matt gives me the green light that we can really start standing on it. And Matt messaged me and he said, how's she feel? Let her rip. So it sounds like tomorrow we might do a little bit of boost tuning, guys. I can't wait. This is gonna be awesome, even if it's just part throttle stuff. So I'm gonna have to hook up to the boost box, tell it that 19 pounds is gate pressure, make sure that I got nothing on top of that, and then we'll see what it does. I'll probably just part throttle it 5-6 pounds, make sure air fuel still looks okay, and if I gotta feed it a little bit, we'll feed it a little bit more, and then I'll put my foot flat on it. We'll see what it looks like, as long as everything's good up until that point. I still got the ramps out here. I'm gonna go grab my scales, I'm gonna get everything set up, and I'm gonna top the fuel off, and then we'll roll this baby on the scales and see what it looks like for weight with the cage in. That way we don't change anything, we see exactly where it's at. And after that, I'll probably mount the harness. I'll get that done first, and then we'll work on getting the cluster mounted in so I can use my Windows tablet here and data log versus having to have my laptop sit on the floor. Get that stuff done, then I can get back out here tomorrow. We'll try and get more miles on. We'll take her out and we'll start putting her in boost and see what she looks like as she comes in. Let me go get my scales, get out here, and let's get this guy set up, and we'll see exactly what the cage added for weight. A lot easier to do it when it runs and you ain't got to push it up by yourself. I'm gonna hop on YouTube real quick and see what I weighed at last time with the bumper and headlights. I want to say it was 21.23, but I'm gonna double check. 2120.9 pounds, according to my last video. 2120.9. Let's see where we're at right now with the cage. Scales are all 0. Let's find out. 2192. 2120.9. We're now 2192, which means we did add about 70 pounds worth of cage. So I was pretty good in guessing that. So the cage, the plates, the welds, everything went up 71 pounds. I'm gonna get the harness mounted, I'll get the other cluster mounted, figure out what I'm doing with the cage as far as paint or the gun bluing. So I'm gonna get the harness, which I should add in here actually. If I can find that box, let me see. Put it right on the seat. Full box added 8 pounds. So right now, 2201.5.4.5. So let me work on getting this tablet mounted in, because I do have to do a different bracket because that tablet bracket was too small. And then I'll get the harness mounted in, see where I end up for the night, and then tomorrow we'll get some more miles on, see about putting this thing into boost a little bit, because I think Matt's giving me the okay, but I want to wait for sure before I do. The VE is pretty close. I do have this small piece of Dokal right here that I'm going to try and do the gun bluing on. and we'll see what that looks like. And if it does blue up the bar and make the gold weld, or make the weld gold, then I'll do the roll cage with that gun blue stuff, and I'll just buy I'll buy a bigger kit so I can do it all. But if it don't, then I'm just gonna buy some Rust-Oleum hammer tone paint. I'll paint this guy up in that hammer tone silver, and then I'll get the pad and the bar savers on for the door bars and paint the floor. I don't know if I want to paint the floor white or if I want to paint it black. I'm rolling that around in my head right now. There's a good chance it's going to be black just to get rid of glare. Yeah, we're going to play all that by ear, but at least we're getting there, guys. We got the cage done. Just got to work on getting everything else in. So let me go ahead and let me start working on this stuff, and I'll bring you guys back in once I get all that taken care of. So instead of working on the cluster, I decided to try that test piece with the gun blue, and it actually looks like it's coming out pretty good. I gotta let it set up for a little bit longer, but if you look at this side, you can see the discoloration from the weld where the metal got heated up, which is natural. I mean, you're gonna see it. And then you look at this side where it's been blued, you can't see that color anymore, but those welds do look gorgeous. And we can keep going. I can keep applying gun blue and make this thing darker. So I'm gonna probably put a little bit more on it, let it sit, and then see how dark we can get this pipe. Just rinse with cold water. I'm not gonna put a garden hose in my car to rinse it with cold water. I just took and used a water bottle with cold water straight out of the fridge, and I wet a rag, and I'm going ahead and I'm gonna wipe this off once it does blue up here a little while. But it is actually bluing up pretty good. I think we might end up going that way, guys. You can really see how it's bluing it up after we let it sit, and you can see the difference in the pipe here when I rotate it actually. So there's Docol with the heat, and then as you rotate the pipe, you can see it really blew up, and then it just hides all of the heat mark almost. You can see a faint line around the weld. They say to prep it with steel wool so you get a good scuff, that way it'll really bite into the metal. I didn't do that. All I did was use the degreaser cleaner, wiped it down a little bit, wiped it down with some good cold water, and then put the PermaBlue on. I did 2 wipes at a minute each, and then wiped them off with cold water between each wipe. So if I can steel wool the cage and then let it sit for 2, maybe 3 minutes between each wipe, after we do 2 or 3 wipes on this cage, it might come out really dark. And if that's the case, that's gonna be perfect. I'm gonna really like where we're at. So I don't know if that tube will get me the whole cage, but we'll find out. I might just go ahead and pick up another thing of bluing tomorrow. I don't know about the cleaner, because they say you can use denatured alcohol, brake clean or something like that. You can use that to clean it, and that is what the guys at the gun shop did tell me when I stopped by, because I did run it by him when I went up to the gun shop to get this stuff. I asked him, I said, hey, you want to give me a brief rundown on how you guys do it? And he goes, well, the instructions are on the bottle, but, and then he told me how he does it, and that's when they talked about doing it with steel wool, which they even mention on the paperwork for the PermaBlue stuff. It comes out really nice, guys. Really nice. It's gonna look pretty cool. I'm gonna pull this cluster out of the car, and then we'll start working on getting the new tablet set up. I'm gonna try and get that cluster mounted in now that I did play with this PermaBlue stuff and seeing how it comes out. I'm gonna get this old tablet mount out, the new plate drilled out and everything and mounted. There's only one downside to me trying to mount everything right now. When the Windows tablet's on, I don't know if it orientates itself. Either way I mount it. And the charging port is on one side, and because that cord is so short and I'm trying to keep it flush, I'm gonna have to wait until I get that tablet charged and bring it back out here to actually make the hole for the charger. But I am gonna make the hole for the push button start, and I'll get that in here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna clean this whole thing off using probably using this one actually, because it's kind of beat up. And then I can go ahead and wipe this whole thing down using this disc, and then that'll get rid of the oxidization and the Sharpie marks that I got. And I also still need to make the 2 holes on the bottom to mount that to. Now what I'm going to do with that one is I'm just going to copy make that right from the other bracket that I've made for the smaller tablets, so I can just duplicate the hole, and then I'll get those mounted, get this hole hogged out, we'll get this thing cleaned up, we'll get it shoved back in the car. Well, I'm not going to be able to show you guys what the tablet looks like. That's where we're at. So I mean, the screen is still in a good view of the steering wheel here. So we got our 10-inch Windows tablet mounted right to the cluster plate. Come out really good. I was gonna throw the harness in. I do want to do that before I go wide open too. Hell with it. Let's put it in. Got the harness in, so what I ended up doing was I had to bolt the lowers down because the strap wasn't long enough to reach the bar and wrap around. So the lowers are bolted in where the seat bolts in. The top ones are wrapped. I haven't tied them up yet because, like I said, I'm going to glue the bar and I have to do the brace for the seat yet. So the seat's going to come out anyway. So I'm not going to worry about fixing that in or tying those up until we're done. So that tablet mounts in, looks really good. Just got to get the charger port figured out, you know, which side that's going to be on, whether it's that side or this side, and then get that in. Because we changed a little bit of weight with the tablet, I got the harnesses in, and I even went as far to take all the hardware that's going to be in here for the submarine belt. That's just sitting in the seat. I want to see where the car is at right now. Earlier, we were at 2192, I think I said, with the old tablet and everything without the harness. And then I threw the harness box in, and that added like 9 pounds. Everything's still set up, so why the hell not? Zero them again, just to make sure. Still got to make a bracket for that part, for that staging brake too. So it's not so wobbly when you pull on it. That'll give it some stability there, but we're on the pads all the way around. Let's see where we are. When I put the car together, I wanted to be under 2,200 pounds in race weight. We're on the road tires still, 2,200 pounds almost on the nose, 0.9. Still got to balance, obviously. That's a given. The floor is not flat here. I haven't checked the preload in the springs or anything yet. So tomorrow night, maybe, probably Friday night actually, I will just go to the pole barn. We'll drive the car over there, go over the car, re-preload the springs, and then try to set ride height. And then once we get ride height set, ideally where I want it, then we'll look at the corner balancing and we'll make adjustments based on that. But realistically, I think with where the ride height is, I'm okay with it. I don't have any problem getting in the trailer. I don't have any problem driving it on the alignment rack. When I balance the car with me in the car, I want to probably have it probably a 65, maybe 70% front end ratio. And speaking of me in the car, let's see what I am. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Forgot about the weight of the controller here. So we got a false number, guys. Let's set this guy on the ground. See where we really are. That controller is almost 5 pounds. Because now we're down to 2196.1.2. It was bouncing around. Looks like it's going to stabilize there. Oh, it's creeping. Oh man, we're getting fatter as we go. We're 2196. Let's see what it is with me standing in it. Floating around. Well, I wanted to be under 2400, but it's looking like it's bouncing around at 2403, 2402, somewhere in that neighborhood. That's where we are in the car. That's me without my safety gear. So you put the safety gear on, we might add another, let's say 5 pounds. But at the same time, we put the drag wheels and everything on it, we're gonna lose 40. So that's pretty much gonna be it for the night for me. Getting pretty tired. It is almost like 1 o'clock. I did just look here on my phone. So I'm gonna take that tablet in, I'm gonna get this thing charged up, find out the orientation on that guy. And then what I'll do tomorrow before I drive it is I'll get the charging port mounted, and then I'm probably going to have to go in and hog out a little bit of this plastic so I can get to the button and the charging port, because it does sit kind of weird in that holder, but it works, so we're gonna ride with it. But as far as everything else goes, guys, we're a charger away from trying to drive this thing again tomorrow, and with having the harness and everything in it, I will be a little bit more comfortable actually trying to nail it. So I did order everything from Summit though. I gotta wait for it to get here. So I got the seat support, which is going to be a clamp on the bar, and then a 4-bolt plate that'll go to the back of the seat to keep it from flexing. So when that shows up, I'll get that in. I also have some mop grip tape that my buddy Eric bought for me a couple years ago that I was planning on putting in the car when we started building it in like 2016. It's still in the house. So I hope the glue on the grip tape is not bad, because that grip tape was super sticky. That stuff would eat your shoes in a couple of days if you really rode hard. I gotta get the pedals wrapped with grip tape. I did check when I had the harness strapped in, and actually, let me show you guys. Might as well. I can reach the button, so we're in a good spot. So I can at least start the car, and then when I'm ready, you know, finally pull it down. So I do have a hard time reaching it right there actually. As I'm rambling on here, guys, I know I need to go inside and get myself out of here, go in, get cleaned up, crash for the night, and then we'll bring you guys in the morning. Out of work now, and I had a box show up. So it's got the helmet hook, and I don't think that this hook's gonna be big enough to grab the steering wheel, so I'm gonna have to see about maybe using a different brand for the steering wheel itself. Also today, I did get the seat back brace, so I gotta put this guy in today, and I got the roll bar padding, but I do have one sitting in here, and I set it in so I could see how it fit, and it looks like it's gonna fit pretty good. I'm just gonna lop it off right here where the bend is, and then I'll use that carbon composite tube on the bottom. So I did bring the tablet out. I'm gonna shove that in real quick. We did get some new injector data that we're gonna throw at the car and see how it responds, because this thing is demanding so much fuel on the VE. I need to back it off a little bit. It's getting a little out of hand, so we're trying some new injector data. I'm gonna go take it for a ride, see what the VE looks like. If the VE looks pretty good or we start getting smooth, then we'll be able to put this guy in boost. If we're not good on the VE, there's really no point in going wide open right now. But like I said, we're gonna try this new injector data. I'm gonna put a stock VE in the car. We're gonna go take it for probably a lap, maybe 2 laps. See what the VE looks like, and it might be dark by the time I get those laps done. So I might not go wide open tonight, but at least we'll have some data that I can use to make sure that the tune's gonna work with where it's at. And then tomorrow morning I can try and go wide open with it. But I was planning on resetting the spring preload and corner balance in the car tonight, but with the tune changes and these parts that showed up, I'm gonna put the seat brace in, get the bar pad in, and then we'll throw the tune in it and see what it does. And actually, I think what I might do is just stick the pad in it and then go drive it right now, and then I'll put the seat brace in when I get it back tonight. But I do have harnesses in, so at least now when I drive it, I can wear a seatbelt. Let me get the rest of this stuff done. We'll get the car out and we'll see what it looks like. Didn't get to do too much driving with it. I made 1 lap and realized I forgot to change the fuel pressure from where we changed the calibration, so I came back, reset fuel pressure, and then took it on a ride, and it was all over the place. So I brought it back in the garage, and it's dark now, so unfortunately I can't drive it. But I was sitting here for probably half an hour, 45 minutes, just trying to do some in vacuum, you know, revving the car, trying to hold it at certain RPM, certain load, holding the parking brake, trying to let the clutch out, put a load against the motor, and hold it at certain RPMs to try and see if we can get the VE to come in vacuum. So I got it a lot closer where it needs to be. But yeah, I am gonna go inside for the night, and I'm gonna work on trying to smooth out this tune here, look at all the logs that I got, and see how much closer I can try and get it. I'll get back out here on this thing and try to see if we can actually work in a good VE with the car. That way I can drive it. And once we got the VE right, then we'll start worrying about boost, but I'm not gonna do anything with that until we get to that point. So I'll bring you guys back out tomorrow when we get back out here. Back out here again. Did take a little bit of my spirits out last night because I got out here and we threw a new map in the car, and it was getting dark. And then with the update that HP had to update the program, well, it forced an update on the interface, and the interface got really, really slow. So the drives that I made last night, I didn't get any usable data because the response rate was way too slow. Before I drive it today, I'm gonna get the seat brace at least mounted, and then I'll put the charger in for the tablet, then go for another ride. Let's get after it. The only downside to this tablet is the way it's made. I can't get a case for it because it has a keyboard that hooks up on the bottom, and the back of it flips out so you can use it like a stand and set the tablet up like this while you work on it. So you can treat it like a laptop. So what I gotta do to actually get it to fit in this mount is put the keyboard on backwards, and then I can slip this guy in here. Where we're at for the charger and stuff, because I do want the data port on this side. We're gonna cut it off here because this piece hits the button. Actually, I'm just gonna cut this whole thing off, and that'll give me room for the USB port and the button itself. I'm gonna cut it off right here. So I don't want it in the way of anything else. I might have to change this a little bit here. I might put the charger down here where the push button is, and then just put the push button up. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna move the push button up because this thing is gonna be, if I put this in here, this is gonna be in the way of the button and the USB port that's right here that comes off for the logger. So I can't really put that there and have that cable come over because I'll be beating on each other. Put the push button start up here and put the charger down here and be ready to go. Oh, there we go, guys. Charger and push buttons in. Let's get this thing stuck in the car. So we got the tablet in. Not as balanced looking, but it definitely fills up the space. So now, let's get this seat brace in here. So we got the seat brace bolted in. I think I'm gonna cut this guy off probably right back here. Actually, I'll probably just do it right up here. That way I got a little bit to work with yet. But I'm gonna cut that bar off. We have to get some longer screws. The ones they sent are some nice headed bolts, you know, and they're good hard ones, but they're too short. They wouldn't fit through the double layer seat of that. So I just got some 1/4x20 screw bolts in here for now, and then I will get some harder bolts to put back in it when I get a chance to go to the hardware store. But plates in, Braces in. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna mark this and I'm gonna cut this bar off. I'm probably gonna take 6 to 8 inches off and then we're gonna go for a ride. So I cut the bar off, rolled the edge with the grinder real quick just to clean it up so there was no burrs. So now I can actually climb in and out of here without banging my face on a bar. I'm gonna go grab my laptop. We're gonna hook on to HP Tuners. We're gonna back this guy out of here and go for a ride. Okay, so got HP out here. We got the laptop out here, got everything hooked up. And I also went ahead and just made that bracket right there to support the staging brake going down to the seat bolt. That way when I pull on it, it don't flex. Not anymore anyway, so she's nice and solid. Let's get some heat in this thing and let's go for a ride. Alright guys, so we're having an issue with the tune that we're trying to line out, so while I'm waiting on some assistance with that one, I'm going to reset the spring preload on the car, set ride height, and then corner balance the car once ride height and everything's finalized. What we're looking for a split is we're going to try and do 75% front weight and then 25% rear. I do have this side done already. Once the spring preload is reset on all 4 corners, I'll set the car on the ramps here. I'll bounce on it a little bit, make sure that the springs are settling, measure ride height.
So unfortunately here the video file got cut off because it was splitting it up into 2 different pieces and the second piece on this one got corrupt. But what I was trying to say was we're going to set ride height with me in the car and then try to see if we can get the ride height even and see where the balance is while I'm sitting in it, and we got it on the scales. I do want to give a huge shout out to Rob Reinen of Preunto Racing. I did message him and ask him how he set their cars up, and he was telling me that they set theirs up for 75% front weight, but they are also hanging ballast off the front of the car so they can meet their weight class, since his cars are all hatchbacks where this one's a 4-door, so it is a lot harder to try and get that balance there. Without having the front end really low or the back end really high, I wouldn't be able to achieve that actual balance. So when I finish this, we're going to be at about 66% front weight. When I put the skinnies on the back, that'll probably put another 3 to 4% of the weight up front compared to what's in the back. So when we're race trim, we should be somewhere around probably a 70% weight to the front. So we're going to be a happy medium from where I wanted it and where they actually do it in the S front wheel drive class. So that's where this one's going to end up being.
Okay. So I was in the car. Total weight with me in the car right now, because we are a little low on fuel, was 2390, and I had just under 1,600 pounds on the front end. So by the math on that one, we're at about 66% weight in the front currently, and then we were at, what was the rear? 470 and 317, 316. Okay. When we measured ride height, the front was 21/32 of an inch side to side, but it's really close on the balance, and then the rear is it was 1/4 of an inch off. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm probably going to take the rear and I might just try and go up the whole 1/4 of an inch and see where it sits. So let me put some ride height to the left rear and we'll set this thing back on the scale and we'll see where it's at. Well guys, we've been over here, we've been balancing for about 3 hours actually. We come over and I reset spring preload, and that really only took me about 10 minutes. And then we went ahead and started setting the corner balance in the car. The ride height and everything, it's really weird because usually if a car, let's say for example, is heavy on the left rear, if you go up with the left rear, it's supposed to move weight to the left front, and you know, likewise any other cross way this goes without making any changes. Well, at one point what I did was I raised the left rear 1/2 inch and the right rear 1/4 of an inch to see if I could balance the rear and put some weight to the front, but every time I try to go up in the rear, it wants to put more weight on the back tire. So I don't know if that's something to do with the way the cage is, or if the springs are really just that bad. And when they were put together on Luke's car the first time, they were never really preloaded right, and they just kind of wore in that way. I don't know, maybe one of them got too tight or one of them was too loose, I'm not sure. I don't have a bench here where I could check spring pressure at a certain height, so unfortunately I can't test the springs and see where they're at. So this is where we got it. It's the closest it's going to be. What we're going to do is we're just going to ride with it, It is dark, but what I'm gonna drive in front of the wife, and she's gonna ride off to the side so she can have the headlights on my black car here. But we're gonna get the garage cleaned up, and we're gonna get the pole barn cleaned up here. We'll get the white car outside, and then we'll get this thing home, and I'm probably gonna wrap it up for the night. If it feels weird when I drive it on the road still, then I'll take it up to the shop and we'll check the alignment on it. But as far as that goes for the alignment here, guys, I think we're pretty much got her buttoned up. So I'm gonna get this thing backed out of here, and we'll get this car back home. So I don't remember if I did any filming yesterday with the car, but we put some fuel in the thing. We went out and we stood on it, and it made some power. I made 1 3rd gear rip and 2 3 4 rips, and on the second rip, I think what was going on is I was running out of fuel and I was starving the pump. I didn't look at the fuel pressure gauge, but the car started to kind of like laid over a little bit and then spat a couple times, and I got right out of it. But that's what it looked like on the log, is the car just started to go lean and then it started to spit. And then we got it back, and I tried to put some fuel in it, and it did take almost 2 gallons before it even came up into the neck. So it was pretty low. I stood on it, and it made about 291 kPAs, the highest it read. And then at 5,500, when I was letting out of it, just to kind of look everything over, it was down to like 280, maybe 81 kPa. So it was holding within about 0.6, 0.7 of a pound, which is kind of weird because I have the boost box programmed to understand that gate pressure is 19, and I told it to try and make 19 with overboost of 23. So the fact that we're coming up that hard and hitting it, and it's actually just holding boost and carrying it that far is kind of weird. And the tune looks spot on. The logger looks good. We got good air fuel. So it did lean out a little bit towards the top of the run. We just put 8 point of fuel in the tune here, and we're gonna try and load this thing, and I'm gonna take this guy out for a rip and see what we can do with it. But before I do that, I'm gonna stick a cam sensor on this thing because it's still doing something really weird where it wants to come up to about 2,900 RPM. And if you're in a specific point of vacuum cells, it wants to come into 2,900 RPM at about 70 kPa. In that range, it likes to spit, and it just demands a whole bunch of fuel. So what I think it's doing is something is dropping out spark, and the thing that would do that would be the cam sensor. So I don't remember which cam sensor I had because I took that engine apart, and when I took the other one apart that I used the camshaft from, I did use the magnet over. So it's got the original magnet that's in it. That might be the thing as well. I do have the original cam over there still that I could steal the magnet from if I had to. I don't remember which sensor I put on it, but I have a box of used sensors. I'm just gonna chuck one on the car and see if it makes a difference. If I put a different sensor on and it does the exact same thing, I don't think it's gonna be a sensor issue. I'll probably do a magnet at that point, but if we chuck a sensor on it and it ends up working out, then it's gonna be perfect. And then I can actually work on good VE tuning so we can idle it up in the lanes. But if I drive it at very, very low vacuum, or if we have it, part throttle boost, which doesn't take much with this thing, it'll drive right through it. It won't hesitate, it won't think about it. And I actually have, in the data logger, I stood on the car at 2,500, so it was in that cell, and brought it all the way through, and even wide open, it never cared. Drove right through it, didn't want to spit at all. So, like I said, I put some fuel in it, so we're full. I gotta put a tune in it real quick. I'm gonna change this cam sensor over, and we're gonna take this thing out for a ride. We're gonna get it up to temperature, and we're gonna rip on it. Now, I don't have the new GoPro mounts yet. I did buy some, so you guys can check it out, because we're gonna mount it probably right on the roll bar by the seat. That way you can see a pass from inside the car. That'll be kind of neat, because that'll be some cool footage I can use to throw on the channel here for you all. So for now, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use the suction mount here facing back towards me, and you'll get to see my ugly mug while we're out here ripping around on this thing. So let me get this camshaft sensor swapped over here. We'll get the file loaded in the car, and we'll go out here and we'll stand on this thing and see what it does. It's a common thing with these. Damn cam sensor. I know you guys ain't gonna be able to see this, so I'm just gonna take a picture and I'll put it up, and you'll see the difference here, what we got going on. We got the cam magnet swap, we got the old sensor put back in for now to see if it was just the magnet causing our problem. I had an open bung in the downpipe, so I put a plug in that for now. I'll probably just tack weld it in at some point when I get the opportunity to, but it has 2 bungs that are way downstream that point at the floor. I blocked those off, and then I just went ahead and put a new bung up closer to the turbo for the wideband we're using. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to load the tune in this thing. We're going to get it fired up, get some heat in it. We're going to go for a ride. All right, so we got our changes made. Car's out here warming up right now. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to swap mounts on the camera, and we'll bring you guys in the car, and we're going for a ride. and then we'll pull it in the garage. But those brakes were definitely smoking when I stopped. Holy smokes. Let's see how hot they got. Yeah, them rotors are blue. Definitely got hot. Holy shit. Well, we found what the brakes do. It stopped the car from, I'm gonna guess, 125, 130 mile an hour. I had the limiter set at 6350. I'll have to do the math on that. But with a 24.5-inch tire, 6300 should have been 130. So we might have been 135, 137. I'll have to check it. That's a 26-inch tire in the car. So I'm gonna let this thing cool off and we'll pull it in the garage. So I'm probably gonna wrap this one up for the night, guys. The tune looks solid. I mean, she just eats. And then it gets a little fat on the top end, which we're okay with. That way we can help keep this thing cool, and we're putting a lot of stress to it. So tune looks solid. Like I said, we're gonna let it cool off. We're gonna get this thing in the garage for the night and see how much fuel I used on them on that kind of loop here. And we will start working on bluing the cage this week, actually. I mean, if the car's at this point, we're ready to go. That's probably gonna be the plan. I'll go ahead and I'll get the paint ordered. I'll blue the cage most of the way down so I can get the padding on and get the bar protector on. And then I'll just cover all that. I'll just wrap all that stuff up with newspaper or something when I do the paint on the floor. But I think I'm gonna go with the hammer tone, and I want to get some heat wrap to go around the exhaust tunnel there, because it gets super hot when we're climbing on this thing. So we're gonna wrap this one up. Thanks for checking it out, guys. Hope you enjoy ripping with the car. We're going inside for the night. We're gonna both be tune over and watch some Lucifer. You have yourself a good one. Stay safe, and we'll see you at the track. Thanks.